There is a question that has fascinated scientists, historians, and ordinary people for generations. Why do some individuals seem to age slowly while others begin to decline long before old age arrives? Researchers have crossed oceans and climbed mountain roads searching for answers. They have visited remote villages where people routinely celebrate their 90th birthdays with energy to spare. They have spoken with men and women who have passed 100 years of age yet still tend gardens, walk long distances, remember family stories from decades earlier, and live without many of the health problems that have become common in modern society. At first, experts expected to uncover hidden secrets. Perhaps there was a rare supplement, an exotic herb, or a medical breakthrough known only to a few fortunate communities. Instead, they found something surprisingly simple. The foods most often eaten by the healthiest and longest-living people were not expensive, rare, or heavily processed. They were ordinary foods that had nourished families for centuries. These foods appeared again and again across different cultures and different continents. Long before laboratories existed, people relied on them for strength, endurance, and vitality. Many of these foods also appear throughout biblical history. They were present at family tables, in moments of celebration, and during events that shaped entire generations. Ancient people did not understand biochemistry, inflammation, or cellular aging. They had no microscopes and no scientific journals. Yet they repeatedly chose foods that modern research is now linking to better health, stronger minds, healthier hearts, and longer lives. What makes this discovery remarkable is that science continues to confirm what these traditional diets practiced naturally. Researchers now know that certain foods influence inflammation, support healthy gut bacteria, protect cells from damage, and even help preserve brain function as the years pass. These effects are not theoretical. They can be measured in blood markers, brain scans, and long-term population studies involving thousands of people. Among the most powerful examples is a food so familiar that many people barely think about it. It appears in one of the most memorable scenes after the resurrection of Christ. The setting is quiet. Dawn stretches across the water. The disciples have spent the night fishing. Exhausted from hours of labor, they return to shore. Waiting for them is a simple meal prepared over glowing coals. There is bread. There is fish. Nothing elaborate. Nothing extravagant. Yet that humble breakfast contains one of the most valuable nutritional gifts available to the human body. For generations, readers focused on the spiritual significance of that moment. Few paused to consider why fish occupied such an important place in daily life throughout the biblical world. Fishermen depended on it. Families depended on it. Communities built entire economies around it. It provided nourishment that sustained people through physically demanding lives. Today, neuroscientists are increasingly interested in fish for a reason ancient people could never have explained. Fatty fish contain compounds known as omega-3 fatty acids. Among them is DHA, a nutrient that plays a critical role in brain structure. Large portions of the human brain rely on this substance. Every thought, memory, and signal traveling between nerve cells depends on healthy cellular membranes. DHA helps maintain those membranes, allowing communication throughout the brain to occur efficiently. When the body receives too little DHA, the brain attempts to compensate by using alternative fats. These substitutes do not perform the same functions as effectively. Over time, communication between cells can become less efficient. Mental sharpness may gradually diminish. Memory may not feel as clear. Researchers now believe that part of what many people accept as normal aging may actually be influenced by long-term nutritional deficiencies. One major study followed thousands of adults over many years. Scientists compared cognitive performance with blood levels of omega-3 fatty acids. The results were striking. Individuals with higher levels often demonstrated brain characteristics associated with younger biological age. Their cognitive abilities remained stronger, and imaging studies suggested healthier brain structures compared with participants whose omega-3 levels were lower. Another important omega-3 known as EPA contributes in a different way. While DHA supports the architecture of the brain, EPA helps regulate inflammation throughout the body. Inflammation is essential when the body needs to heal from injury or infection. Problems arise when low levels of inflammation persist continuously for years. This chronic inflammation can affect blood vessels, joints, organs, and even brain tissue. Scientists increasingly describe chronic inflammation as one of the central drivers of aging. It operates quietly, often without obvious symptoms, gradually contributing to wear and tear throughout the body. EPA helps moderate this process by influencing chemical pathways involved in inflammatory responses. The fishermen who worked the waters of Galilee did not understand these mechanisms. They did not speak about fatty acids or cellular signaling. What they knew was practical. Fish sustained them. It provided strength for long nights, demanding labor, and years of physical work. Generation after generation continued eating it because experience taught them its value. Modern research is now providing explanations for observations that people made centuries ago. The connection between regular fish consumption and long-term health is supported by evidence from nutrition science, neurology, and cardiovascular medicine. Communities with high fish intake frequently demonstrate lower rates of cognitive decline and better overall health outcomes. Perhaps the greatest lesson is not complexity, but consistency. Extraordinary health rarely emerges from a single miracle product. Instead, it often grows from simple habits repeated over decades. A meal shared beside a lake, prepared over a small fire, may appear ordinary. Yet within that simplicity exists a pattern that science continues to validate. Some of the most powerful tools for maintaining vitality are not hidden in laboratories or luxury products. They have been sitting on dinner tables for generations, waiting to be appreciated once again. If there is one lesson repeated throughout history, it is that the foods most valuable to human health are often the simplest. Long before nutrition labels and scientific studies existed, people depended on ingredients that could sustain them through years of hard work, unpredictable harvests, and demanding daily life. One of those foods was a grain that rarely receives attention today, yet it formed the foundation of countless meals across the ancient world. Imagine standing among a crowd gathered on a hillside. Thousands of people have traveled long distances to hear teachings that inspire hope and purpose. Hours pass. Hunger begins to spread through the multitude. The resources available are astonishingly small compared to the need. A few loaves are brought forward, simple loaves made from barley. What appears insignificant becomes enough to feed thousands. Most people remember the miracle. Few stop to consider the grain itself. Barley was not considered luxurious. It was not reserved for royalty or special occasions. It belonged to ordinary families. Farmers ate it. Laborers ate it. Travelers carried it. It appeared in daily meals because it was dependable, affordable, and filling. Yet modern science is revealing that this humble grain contains qualities that make it remarkably valuable for long-term health. One of the most important components in barley is a special type of soluble fiber known as beta-glucan. At first glance, fiber may not sound exciting. It certainly lacks the marketing appeal of many modern health products. However, researchers studying longevity have discovered that the health of the digestive system influences nearly every aspect of the body. Inside the human digestive tract lives a vast ecosystem of microorganisms. Collectively known as the gut microbiome, these bacteria influence digestion, immune function, metabolism, and even aspects of mental health. Scientists have found that people who live exceptionally long lives often possess distinctive microbial communities compared with the general population. Certain beneficial bacteria produce compounds called short-chain fatty acids. Among these compounds, one known as butyrate has attracted particular attention. Cells lining the colon rely heavily on butyrate as an energy source. When adequate amounts are present, the intestinal barrier remains stronger and healthier. When levels decline, the protective lining may become compromised. This matters because the digestive tract serves as a gatekeeper between the outside world and the bloodstream. A healthy barrier helps prevent unwanted substances from entering circulation. When that barrier weakens, inflammation can increase throughout the body. Researchers increasingly associate chronic inflammation with accelerated aging and numerous health conditions. Beta-glucan acts almost like specialized fuel for beneficial bacteria that produce butyrate. Instead of feeding all microorganisms equally, it appears particularly effective at encouraging the growth of strains associated with positive health outcomes. Scientists sometimes describe this effect as selective nourishment for the microbiome. The people who depended on barley centuries ago had no understanding of bacterial ecosystems. They simply recognized practical results. Meals made with barley satisfied hunger for longer periods. Energy remained more stable. Work could continue throughout the day without constant eating. These observations, passed from one generation to the next, ensured barley maintained its place at the table. Today, researchers studying communities known for exceptional longevity continue identifying similar dietary patterns. While cultures differ greatly, many emphasize minimally processed foods rich in fiber. These traditional eating habits support digestive health in ways that modern science increasingly appreciates. The story becomes even more fascinating when another ancient food enters the picture. Unlike barley, this food was considered valuable enough to appear in sacred symbolism. It blossomed early each year, signaling the arrival of a new season. It represented renewal, vitality, and life itself. The almond tree holds a unique place in biblical history. Its blossoms decorated sacred objects. Its rapid flowering made it a symbol of awakening after winter. Ancient observers noticed its remarkable timing and resilience. What they could not know was that the nut produced by this tree contains nutrients uniquely suited for protecting the body's cells. Among the most significant is vitamin E, particularly in a form called alpha-tocopherol. Scientists regard this compound as one of the body's important defenses against oxidative stress. Every cell in the human body is enclosed by a delicate membrane composed largely of fats. These membranes regulate communication, nutrient transport, and countless biological processes. Over time, exposure to free radicals can damage cellular structures. When membranes become compromised, cells function less efficiently. Communication between tissues may decline. Repair mechanisms become less effective. Aging researchers increasingly recognize the importance of preserving membrane integrity throughout life. Alpha-tocopherol possesses a unique ability to integrate directly into cellular membranes. Once present, it helps protect these structures from oxidative damage. Rather than acting only in the bloodstream, it becomes part of the very architecture of the cell. This protection extends throughout the body, including the skin. Healthy skin depends upon strong cellular structures capable of retaining moisture, maintaining elasticity, and repairing everyday wear. Several studies have observed improvements in skin appearance among individuals who regularly consume almonds as part of their diets. Researchers examining dietary patterns have noted associations between almond consumption and healthier markers of skin aging. Elasticity tends to be better preserved. Visible signs of damage may appear less pronounced. While no food can completely halt aging, certain nutrients appear capable of supporting the body's natural maintenance systems more effectively than others. Ancient people did not discuss antioxidants or cellular membranes. Yet they valued almonds highly enough to weave them into symbolism connected with life, restoration, and divine purpose. Their observations emerged not from laboratories, but from generations of experience. The broader lesson remains remarkably consistent. Foods that support health are rarely dramatic. They do not promise overnight transformation. Instead, they provide steady nourishment year after year, strengthening the systems that allow the body to function optimally. A handful of almonds, a bowl of barley. Neither seems extraordinary when viewed in isolation. Yet multiplied across decades, such choices can influence countless biological processes. The cumulative effect of daily habits often matters far more than occasional interventions. Researchers searching for the secrets of long life continue reaching similar conclusions. The answer rarely involves complexity. It usually involves returning to foods that humans have trusted for generations. Foods that nourish not only the body, but the intricate systems working silently beneath the surface. And as we continue exploring the foods most closely connected with vitality and longevity, the next discovery may be even more surprising, because it involves a fruit so powerful that ancient accounts describe it helping restore strength to someone who appeared nearly beyond recovery. The search for longer life often leads people toward complicated solutions. New supplements appear every year. Expensive programs promise to reverse aging. Advertisements suggest that youth can be purchased if only the right product is found. Yet when scientists examine populations that consistently enjoy exceptional health and longevity, they rarely find anything exotic. Again and again, they discover traditional foods that families have relied upon for generations. One of the most fascinating examples is a fruit that has traveled through human history for thousands of years. It grew in desert regions where survival depended on finding reliable nourishment. Travelers carried it across vast distances. Shepherds packed it during long journeys. Merchants depended on it when crossing harsh landscapes where fresh food was impossible to obtain. The date may appear simple, but appearances can be deceiving. Ancient records describe situations in which exhausted individuals regained strength after consuming foods centered around dried fruits, including dates. For people living in difficult environments, the value of such foods was obvious. They provided concentrated energy in a portable form. They resisted spoilage. Most importantly, they restored vitality when strength was fading. Modern nutritional science helps explain why. Dates contain natural sugars that are quickly absorbed by the body. Unlike heavily refined sweeteners, however, these sugars arrive packaged alongside important minerals and plant compounds. Potassium, magnesium, copper, and numerous antioxidants work together in ways that researchers continue to investigate. Potassium plays a particularly important role. Every heartbeat, muscle contraction, and nerve signal depends upon proper electrolyte balance. When the body becomes depleted through exertion, dehydration, or inadequate nutrition, potassium levels can contribute to fatigue and weakness. Foods naturally rich in this mineral help support normal physiological function. Yet minerals tell only part of the story. Dates also contain polyphenol, compounds produced by plants as protective molecules. Scientists have become increasingly interested in these substances because of their potential influence on oxidative stress. Oxidative stress occurs when unstable molecules known as free radicals accumulate faster than the body can neutralize them. Over time, this process may contribute to aging and cellular damage. Among the most intriguing areas of research involve structures called telomeres. These protective caps exist at the ends of chromosomes. Each time a cell divides, telomeres gradually shorten. Eventually, they become too short to support further division, limiting the lifespan of the cell. Researchers often compare telomeres to the plastic tips on shoelaces. Without those protective ends, the lace begins to fray. Similarly, telomeres help preserve the integrity of genetic material during repeated cycles of replication. Scientists continue investigating factors that influence the rate of telomere shortening. While aging itself cannot be stopped, evidence suggests that lifestyle choices may affect how quickly cellular wear accumulates. Diet, exercise, sleep, and stress management all appear connected to this process. Polyphenol found in fruits such as dates may help reduce oxidative stress, potentially supporting healthier cellular function. Although no single food can freeze biological time, patterns of nutrition repeated over many years may contribute to healthier aging trajectories. This theme appears repeatedly throughout longevity research. The goal is rarely immortality. Instead, researchers focus on preserving function. They want to understand why some people remain active, mentally sharp, and physically capable decades longer than others. The answer often points toward consistent nourishment rather than dramatic intervention. Another traditional food demonstrates this principle in a completely different way. Unlike dates, it is not valued primarily for energy. Instead, its greatest strength lies in its relationship with the digestive system. For thousands of years, fermented dairy products occupied an important place in many cultures. Long before refrigeration existed, fermentation allowed milk to be preserved while simultaneously transforming its nutritional properties. Beneficial bacteria converted sugars into acids, creating foods that remained edible far longer than fresh milk. People originally fermented dairy because it was practical. They could not have known that the process produced profound biological changes. During fermentation, microorganisms break down certain components of milk while generating entirely new compounds. Proteins become easier to digest. Beneficial bacteria multiply. Organic acids accumulate. The result is a food fundamentally different from the milk from which it originated. Scientists studying the gut microbiome have become increasingly interested in fermented foods because of their potential influence on digestive health. The digestive tract contains trillions of microorganisms engaged in complex interactions with the immune system and metabolism. Maintaining balance within this ecosystem appears crucial for overall well-being. When beneficial bacteria thrive, they help support the integrity of the intestinal barrier. This protective layer regulates what passes from the digestive tract into the bloodstream. A strong barrier helps limit unwanted inflammatory responses while allowing nutrients to be absorbed efficiently. Fermented dairy products may contribute to this process in multiple ways. They provide live microorganisms, bioactive compounds created during fermentation, and nutrients that support digestive function. Research suggests that regular consumption can influence microbial populations, potentially encouraging a healthier balance within the gut ecosystem. One reason goat milk has attracted attention is its composition. Compared with some forms of cow's milk, it contains proteins and fat structures that certain individuals find easier to digest. While responses vary from person to person, researchers continue exploring how different dairy sources affect digestive comfort and inflammation. What makes these findings especially interesting is the emerging connection between digestive health and visible aging. Scientists now speak frequently about the gut-skin axis. This concept reflects the observation that conditions within the digestive tract may influence skin appearance. Inflammation originating in the gut can affect tissues throughout the body, including the skin. Conversely, improvements in digestive health sometimes correspond with healthier skin characteristics. Ancient cultures certainly did not discuss microbial diversity or intestinal permeability, yet they repeatedly included fermented foods in daily life. These traditions persisted because people observed practical benefits, even without understanding the underlying mechanisms. The pattern remains familiar. A food developed through necessity eventually becomes recognized by science as something far more significant than anyone originally imagined. As researchers continue exploring the relationship between nutrition and longevity, they repeatedly encounter evidence supporting traditional dietary wisdom. The foods that sustained previous generations often contain biological advantages only now becoming fully appreciated. And perhaps nowhere is this clearer than in the next food, a gift once considered valuable enough to present before rulers and powerful leaders, yet now recognized for protecting one of the most delicate and vulnerable organs in the entire human body. Among all the senses human beings depend upon every day, vision is often taken for granted. People notice wrinkles in the mirror. They pay attention to aching joints or declining energy. They become concerned when memory seems less reliable than before. Yet very few stop to think about the aging process occurring inside their eyes. The reality is that the eyes are constantly exposed to environmental stress. Every sunrise, every screen, every light source, and every passing year places demands upon delicate structures responsible for vision. Scientists studying age-related changes have found that protecting these structures early may be one of the most important investments a person can make for long-term quality of life. This is where an ancient food enters the story. Thousands of years ago, valuable gifts were carefully selected when important relationships depended upon making a strong impression. Rare spices, precious resins, fragrant products, and treasured foods were chosen because they represented quality and worth. Among such offerings appeared pistachios, a food regarded as valuable enough to accompany other prized goods. To modern readers, pistachios may seem like an ordinary snack, yet their nutritional profile contains characteristics that have attracted significant scientific attention. One reason involves two plant compounds known as lutein and zeaxanthin. These carotenoids accumulate within the retina, particularly in a region called the macula. The human body actively transports these compounds into eye tissue, suggesting that they serve functions considered important for visual health. Scientists often describe lutein and zeaxanthin as natural protective filters. They help absorb portions of high-energy visible light before it can reach sensitive retinal structures. In addition, they possess antioxidant properties that may help limit oxidative stress within the eye. Over decades, exposure to light and metabolic activity can contribute to cellular damage. Researchers investigating age-related macular degeneration have observed connections between dietary carotenoid intake and markers associated with retinal protection. While nutrition alone cannot guarantee perfect vision, evidence suggests that foods rich in these compounds may support long-term eye health. Pistachios offer a convenient source of both lutein and zeaxanthin. Regular consumption can contribute to dietary intake levels associated with improved macular pigment density. Greater pigment density may enhance the eye's natural defenses against environmental stressors. The significance of this finding extends beyond vision itself. Healthy eyesight influences independence, mobility, confidence, and overall quality of life. Preserving visual function allows people to continue reading, driving, traveling, working, and engaging fully with the world around them. Researchers examining populations with exceptional longevity frequently emphasize an important principle. Longevity is not merely about surviving longer. It is about maintaining capability. A longer life loses much of its value if physical or cognitive function deteriorates prematurely. This perspective leads naturally to another food that appears repeatedly in studies of long-lived populations around the world. Across different continents and cultures, researchers have searched for dietary patterns shared among communities known for exceptional longevity. The locations differ dramatically. Climate varies. Languages, traditions, and lifestyles often have little in common. Yet investigators repeatedly encounter one remarkable similarity. Legumes, beans, lentils, peas, and related foods appear again and again in the diets of people who live long and healthy lives. At first glance, this discovery seems almost disappointing in its simplicity. There is no mystery ingredient, no expensive supplement, no exclusive secret available only to a privileged few. Instead, there is a category of foods that has nourished humanity for thousands of years. Lentils deserve particular attention. Ancient stories describe exhausted individuals eagerly consuming lentil-based meals after physically demanding days. Such accounts reveal something important about traditional food culture. People learned through experience which foods restored strength effectively. Modern research provides insight into why lentils continue appearing in discussions about longevity. They contain substantial amounts of plant protein, complex carbohydrates, vitamins, minerals, and dietary fiber. Together, These nutrients support sustained energy release rather than dramatic fluctuations in blood sugar levels. Stable energy patterns may contribute to improved metabolic health over time. Fiber remains one of the most important components. As lentils move through the digestive system, beneficial bacteria ferment portions of this fiber and produce short-chain fatty acids. These compounds support intestinal health and help maintain a balanced digestive environment. Scientists studying cellular aging have become interested in another phenomenon known as cellular senescence. Senescent cells are cells that stop dividing but do not die. Instead, they remain within tissues and may release inflammatory signals affecting neighboring cells. Accumulation of senescent cells is considered one factor contributing to age-related decline. Researchers continue investigating nutritional strategies that may influence this process. Certain compounds generated during fiber fermentation appear promising in laboratory studies exploring healthy cellular function. Lentils also provide folate, a nutrient essential for DNA synthesis and regulation. Every day, the body must replicate cells, repair tissues, and maintain genetic stability. Folate participates in biochemical pathways involved in these processes. One particularly important mechanism involves DNA methylation. This system helps regulate gene activity, determining which genes are active and which remain relatively quiet. Proper regulation supports normal cellular behavior, while disruptions may contribute to disease development. Although genetics influence many aspects of health, lifestyle choices also affect how genes function. Nutrition provides some of the raw materials required for these regulatory systems to operate effectively. What makes lentils extraordinary is not any single nutrient.